Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, that other one. And of course the plethora of movies, spin-offs, OVAs, and whatnot. Dragon Ball, to me, symbolizes nostalgia, strength, motivation, and just overall badassery. It was the first anime I was ever introduced to at the ripe age of 5 years old, courtesy of my older brother, who could not wait to share with me the amazing world of Dragon Ball Z. And to this day, I still hold a very strong love for the series as a whole. And though I may not have seen everything in the series, I can without a doubt say that I am an avid fan. Insane even. Greetings one and all, my name is Lancer and welcome to the ultimate way to watch Dragon Ball. Now, this may be a bit controversial. I for one do not think that there is a single perfect way to watch Dragon Ball. When I say that mainly, I am referring to Dragon Ball Z, as there is a plethora of different versions of the Dragon Ball Z anime, which we will get to short enough. This is pretty much what I've come up with as what I think is the perfect chronological and ultimate experience for Dragon Ball and how you can watch it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the first thing. Now, this is one you can honestly swap out if you're a first-time watcher, because this first one easily is a huge spoiler if you've never watched Dragon Ball. And that is the Bardock Father of Goku TV special. If you're an avid fan like I am, then this is just a good place to start in terms of just a full chronological rewatch. This of course deals with Bardock and of course the origins of Goku and everything. Obviously if you're a first time watcher, I would definitely recommend not watching this. And instead starting with OG Dragon Ball, which is the first series. I know that the OG Dragon Ball nowadays can kind of be a chore to watch because it is pretty long, and honestly, if you know what's coming, you just kind of want to get to the Z stuff. But if you want a true experience, getting better acquainted with the characters and honestly getting more attached to them with characters like Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and even Goku. Because going into Dragon Ball Z, you're just kind of introduced to these characters and you don't really know much of them, although you can still get attached to them by watching Dragon Ball Z. But in terms of backstories and origins and certain story beats in Dragon Ball Z that are kind of glossed over and just addressed, it's kind of good to watch Dragon Ball and get a better understanding of that, especially Piccolo's stuff, because you know he just shows up in Z and you can sense that there's backstory with them, but you just kind of move along with that story. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, you can watch the first 20 or so minutes of the Broly movie, I'd say maybe before the Bardock special, and then watch the Bardock special and then everything else, because that sets up Broly pretty early on as well, because that all takes place before everything. I mean, it kind of contradicts because Bardock in the Bardock special and in the Broly movie are kind of two different characters, but I think it could still work. Getting into the truly complicated stuff. Of course, when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, there are many different ways in which you can experience it. My personal favorite way to watch Dragon Ball, of course, is in the English dub. Because, let's be fair, it is easily the most iconic English dub. I mean, you can debate it, but I think that in terms of what set a precedent for dubs, Dragon Ball 100% set that precedent. When it comes to Z, you can watch it in many different ways. First of all, obviously, the original Japanese dub, which I think today doesn't really hold up as well, but it's still something you can watch. But then there's, of course, the American broadcast version by Funimation, with of course either the Kikuchi score or the Faulkner score. The Kikuchi score, of course, being the original Japanese music, and then the Faulkner score being the American music, which of course, if you are a Z fan, you are most likely aware of the amazing Faulkner score. I know there are those who have differing opinions on the Faulkner score. It is very early 2000s, late 90s rock music a lot of the time, but there are definitely some themes in the Faulkner that are iconic as hell. Some of which being, of course, Vegeta's two themes, which right off the bat just shows. Vegeta's my favorite character, by the way, and just the fact that the Faulkner score gave two amazing themes to him in, of course, his Hell's Bells theme and his Super Saiyan theme. But on top of that as well, we have Perfect Cell's theme, which is amazing, the Super Saiyan 3 theme, as well as Gohan's theme. A lot of amazing Falconer scores. And then of course there's also Dbz Kai, which is basically a condensed version of Dragon Ball, in which it cuts out a lot of the quote-unquote filler and everything. Again, this is pretty much my opinion on what I think is the ultimate way to watch Dragon Ball, because when it comes to the Kai, I personally think that the Dbz Kai Saiyan Saga and Frieza Saga are better than the original Funimation dub and everything, just in terms of the color correction that they did and the voice acting, honestly. Early on in the Funimation dub, Jean Shamel was very much trying to kind of replicate the Ocean dub for Goku, and it didn't really sound natural, but come around Cell Saga and Buu Saga time, he definitely slips into his own. The first 123 episodes of the original Funimation Falconer dub, I am replacing with episodes 1 through 58 of Dbz Kai. So you go from original Dragon Ball to the first 58 episodes of the Kai. The music for Kai, honestly, is really, really good. It has a lot of that Kikuchi feeling. When I was growing up, I watched Kai as well. When I stopped watching was before the Kai stuff for Cell. Like, I have a lot of nostalgia for the Frieza saga for the Kai, because I think it's amazing. The first 58 episodes cover from the beginning of Dragon Ball Z all the way up to when their training begins for the androids. So right after Future Trunks comes in and right before Vegeta goes Super Saiyan, when he leaves Earth and all that. But then, picking up with Dragon Ball Z's Funimation dub with the Falconer score, you can then pick up with episode 124, which is the episode where Vegeta and Bulma first really start hitting it off, with Vegeta doing his gravity training and all that, Gohan training with Piccolo and Goku, and then of course there's the driving school and all that. You can't skip that filler. And then it goes to episode 139, which is right about when everyone gets their butt kicked by the androids, and Piccolo goes to meet up with Kami to propose fusion, and right when Future Trunks is kind of giving a little bit of backstory to Krillin and everyone on their ship, which then leads into, I think, smoothly into the History of Trunks special. Because Trunks in the previous episode already started talking about the past. He has a little dialogue scene with Bulma in the future, so I think this flows well into watching the History of Trunks special. Right after that, though, we go from episodes 140 to 194, which pretty much is the rest of the Cell Saga. Moving on right from that, though, we go into the Bojack Unbound movie. Now, I'm only really including movies that I personally think are, worth watching, really. I know Bojack Unbound is kind of considered to not be one of the best movies, but I personally think it is really good, just because it's Gohan focused, and I just love it. And it slots right in between episode 194 and 195, because it's right after Future Trunks defeats, the androids and Cell in his timeline. And then it's right before the Otherworld tournament. But right after that, we go from episodes 195 to 248, which pretty much is the Otherworld tournament all the way to when Goku leaves Earth after fighting Majin Buu and going Super Saiyan 3 and all that. And right as the boys begin their fusion training. And then after that, you can slot in the Fusion Reborn movie. I know this one's kind of iffy to throw in terms of where would it fit on the timeline. Obviously, Goku and Vegeta are both dead, and Gohan, Goten, and Videl, they're all in Trunks, they're all off doing stuff while Buu is around. But I'd say it fits in right about here, because it's before Buu meets Mr. Satan, becomes Super Buu and all that, and it's the only time where Goku and Vegeta are both in Otherworld. There's probably some intricacies with some of these that wouldn't, where it kind of overlaps weird, but I tried to get it as close as I could. But right after that, though, we go from episode 249 to 285, which pretty much is the boys continue their fusion training all the way up to pretty much the climax of Goku and Vegeta fighting Kid Buu. Pretty much when Goku starts charging the Spirit Bomb. And then after this is episodes 286, 287, and 288. But instead of the Falconer score, I decided to switch it to the Kikuchi score. And this is mainly because I very much love the Spirit Bomb theme for when Goku's charging the Spirit Bomb against Kid Buu, and then when he throws it. I think the Kikuchi score for these 3 episodes works very well. And that's pretty much it for the Dragon Ball Z series, and right after that, you can slot in the Wrath of the Dragon movie, which I think slots in there really well, because that's pretty much after Buu and all that, so. But after that, though, we now get into Dragon Ball Super territory. The Dragon Ball Z stuff is pretty much where the complicated stuff is. Super, it's a little bit complicated here, but it's not as complicated because Super obviously just has one English dub version. But it does have different versions of certain arcs, which I'm sure you can tell where I'm going with this. It isn't as simple as just watch Battle of Gods and watch Resurrection F and then watch the rest of the series. No. Because there's still episodes early on that you do have to watch. Pretty easy though, for Dragon Ball Super starting off. You just watch episode 1 and 2, catching up with everybody, with Goku and Vegeta, stuff that was excluded from the Battle of Gods movie. It obviously still introduces Beerus a little differently from how the Battle of Gods movie does, but I think it still fits in pretty well, because Battle of Gods does open with Beerus waking up and everything, but I think it would still fit. But then of course after you watch episode 2, you watch Battle of Gods, which pretty much is episode 3 to episode 14 of the anime. So after you watch the Battle of Gods movie, you then watch Dragon Ball Super episodes 15 to 18, so just those 4 episodes there, which pretty much is a little bit of filler in between stuff, pretty much wrapping up Battle of Gods, going to Resurrection F, showing off like that training that Goku and Vegeta do with Whis, because in the Resurrection F movie we pretty much pick up with them in the middle of their training with Whis. This shows the beginning of it and some important dialogue, which will come back up later with Whis talking with, Goku about you need to just not think so much about your fighting style, Ultra Instinct stuff and all that. But then of course right after that we can go into the Resurrection F movie, which pretty much is episodes 19 to 27, which of course you definitely want to skip the anime version of the Resurrection F arc, because oh boy. Anime version of the Battle of Gods movie I still think is decent enough. I just think it's kind of boring at parts. The Resurrection F movie though, the anime version of that you definitely have to skip. I mean, it does kind of cut out some stuff with obviously Tagoma and all that, but who cares? But after that, pretty much you can watch the rest of Dragon Ball Super, which is episodes 28 to 131, which of course is the Tournament of Destroyers all the way to the Tournament of Power. And then after that, you can watch the Broly movie, or at least if you started the whole watch with the first 20 minutes of Broly, you can then watch the rest of the Broly movie. And then after that, you can watch the superhero movie, which by the time of me recording this isn't out yet. It is going to be out in April in Japan at least, so which hopefully means here in America and other places May or June. And I imagine that'll slot right in after Broly. I know it takes place at least a good couple of years after Broly, so End of Z might slot in there possibly. So I excluded the End of Z stuff from this list just because I don't know where it's going to slot in yet, but once the new movie comes out I'm sure we'll know more, maybe about End of Z. But after Broly movie though, you can at least maybe read the Moro and Granola arc of the manga. I don't know exactly the chapters of those, but yeah, because the Granola arc is in its last couple chapters right now, but you can at least read the entirety of the Moro arc. So yeah, that's pretty much the craziness that is this ultimate watch order, I guess, of Dragon Ball Z, or just Dragon Ball in general. So yeah, hope you took note of all that. I'll pretty much put up a screenshot of my notes, which is keeping track of all this, in case you want to just read it that way and it's easier than how I decide to edit it on here. But yeah, this definitely was a struggle to make this list when I was initially coming up with this idea, because I had to go through certain episodes and check certain scenes to make sure certain stuff lined up. This is just a fun idea that I had, because there's many different versions of Z and everything. I prefer the Kai version of certain arcs, and I prefer the Falconer version of pretty much the rest of Z. Pretty much first half of Z, Kai, second half, Funimation Falconer. Where you can watch the Falconer dub though, I have no idea. You pretty much can only do the Blu-ray unless you want to go to certain sketchy sites to watch it. The Falconer version is out there. You can find it somewhere. Kai though and everything, it's on Funimation, Crunchyroll and all that, wherever you decide to watch it. Same with the movies. But yeah, that's pretty much this list and everything. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.